Hello everyone, I'm Rajesh. You're watching this video from RK Data Labs channel. I'm very happy to announce that this is my first video in this channel and it is going to cover a series of AWS services like EC2, EMR, S3, step functions, Lambda, CI-CD pipeline and many more to go. Today, day number 1 of our AWS series, we are going to cover CI-CD pipeline related information. What is CI/CD pipeline? What is the importance of using CI/CD in our projects? What are the various services available in AWS Cloud for CI/CD application? How to successfully deploy your application in AWS Cloud? Moving on to the next slide. We have a couple of AWS services available in Cloud Infra. We call them CodeCommit, CodeBuild, CodeDeploy, CodePipeline, and CodeArtifact. So these services are absolutely needed in order to have your CI/CD pipeline ready in cloud infrastructure. Okay, so CI/CD is basically a continuous integration and continuous deployment service that will make your application ready as an automated software release package so that like you can make use of it very faster in a reliable way as well. Before moving on to our demo hands-on practical session, there are some prerequisites which are needed to make our application ready. First, EC2 instance. You need to have one EC2 instance at least to have your application up and running. Second, S3 bucket. You want to store all your output artifacts ready so that you can, whenever you want to make use of it, you can just download it as a zip file and you can just use to troubleshoot and debug purpose. Third, Git bash. It is a bash. It's a command line tool where you are going to create your own repository and have your source code ready to play with our CI/CD pipeline. Okay. Coming on to the next slide. Okay. What is CodeCommit? CodeCommit is basically, it is a version control tool provided by AWS infrastructure itself. It is a fully managed source control service that hosts private Git repositories. So similarly, we have like GitHub private repository. So where like we can create our own repository and have all our source code ready in order to make our compilation by the next process like code build, code deploy and code pipeline. So you can create your repository and have your source code ready in the code commit in AWS. Next, code build. Code build is a fully managed continuous integration service that actually does like compiling source code, runs the unit test and produces the software packages which are ready to deploy using code deploy. Okay, then code deploy is a fully managed deployment service that usually what it will do, it just automates your software deployment to a variety of services like in terms of target instances like EC2 instance, AWS Fargate instances, Lambda server functions, and also on-premises services. Okay, then code pipeline. Code pipeline is a fully managed continuous delivery service. Basically, it will enable all your previous steps as code commit, code build, code deploy. So it will just run one after each other so that like code pipeline will have all your application ready in a target instance. Finally, code artifact is nothing but it is basically a artifact repository management service where it will be integrated with couple of build tools automatically like Maven, Gradle, NPM and etc. So it is just like a private management repository where couple of organizations will make use of having their own individual repository per organization level. Okay. With this said, we are going to go now with doing a hands-on practical session, a live demo of how to create an application and how are we going to have the CI/CD pipeline ready in AWS infrastructure. Here we go. Okay. Now you are going to successfully deploy your application. Before going into that, now we are into AWS management console. So you should be having a valid account ready with account ID as a root user or IAM user. I have my own account ready, so I'm just going to work on now. So I'm just going to click code commit. So if you can able to click on code commit at the left side of your Explorer, you will see a couple of things here. These are some of the developer tools where we are going to work now. Okay, first thing, we are going to create one repository here. Okay, okay, I have successfully created my own repository. I'm going to clone my repository. So I'm just clicking on this clone URL and clone HTTPS. Now, what should I do? I should go here. You should use this command git clone and followed by the URL which you have just cloned from the management console. Now you are going to here, you will see a valid git file has been created. Now you are going to, I'm just going to copy all my files which is already available here. Before moving on to that, let me open two YAML files here. Okay. First one is a buildspec.yaml file, which is needed for building your project using CodePipeline. So this will have series of commands like phases, install, and install what commands that you want to trigger, and in build what commands you want to trigger, and after build there is a post build what you are going to trigger your command. This is for your code deploy. There is something called appspec.yaml where you want to have this file enable in order to make your application ready using CodePipeline. So these steps are really where we are going to deploy our application today. Okay. Yes. Let's move on here. I'm going to create a new branch called okay. So I have my files ready. So I'm just going to add my files here using these commands. I'm just committed my files. I'm just going to push my file. So it is prompting me to use this command. I've just pushed all my files here into my new branch called AWS branch demo. Now let me refresh this page. You can able to see a new branch called AWS branch demo, and inside a repository called AWS repo demo have been created. So successfully we have created the repository in CodeCommit now. Now let us move on to next CodeBuild. So CodeBuild, there is a left page where you are just going to click on create build project. Okay. I'm just giving a name called AWS repo build. I'm not enabling all these options where a couple of things are optional. You don't want to enable if you want to. I'm just going to add all these things. So let it be CodeCommit as a source, primary source. Now you are going to select your repository. I'm just going to select my repository here. I'm going to use my branch demo. So it will automatically pull all your related source related information. And then regarding environment, you need to have one environment at least in order to build your project, right? So I'm just going to select Ubuntu, runtime as standard, image as 5.0, and all the respective default options. And I'm going to create a new role called AWS repo build service role. If I don't want, I can still use my existing service role also. So let me test with this new role as well. Regarding build spec, I'm just going to use a buildspec.yaml file. So that's why I've just enabled this option. Regarding batch configuration, you don't want to do anything. And artifacts, I'm going to store my artifacts in S3. So I'm just using my demo test bucket. I'm just giving AWS repo bucket. So the other options, you don't want to follow anything. And if you come down, there is a logs page where you don't want to enable as of now. So let's create a build project ready. So what this will do, it will create our own AWS CodeBuild project ready. Successfully, we have created a build project with our own repository called AWS repo demo and we are going to store all our artifacts in a S3 bucket called demo test bucket. Okay, now we have completed the second exercise. Now third, we are going to create one application in code deploy. So there are two things in code deploy. One, you need to create an application, and deployment. Just want to simply create an application. So you will be prompted to select any one of the compute platform here. So for now, I'm going to deploy my application in EC2 instance. So I'm just going to select my EC2 instance. So I have successfully created my application. Now I want to create my own deployment group under my application, so that like this deployment group is needed to deploy your application into the target instance, where now we have selected EC2 instance. Click on the create deployment group. So already there is one service role which I have enabled in IAM policies. So I'm just going to select my role here. So under deployment type, you can even choose in place or blue green. So at the moment for our demo purpose, I'm going to use in place. So now I'm just going to select my EC2 instances. So already I have defined with key and value pair called demo instance. This we can able to see here. So there is a instance name called AWS demo instance, which it should be in running state. If this EC2 instance is not under running state, this page will not detect your EC2 instance. You will be prompted to do couple of restarts in EC2 page before doing this deployment group created. Okay. So now it is able to identify which EC2 instance you are going to deploy your application. Now moving on. So this agent configuration with systems manager, you can leave as is for now. No need to worry about this. Then deployment settings, you will be able to have three options. By default, it will show all at once, which means it will take by default all the deployment related settings. As of now, we are using only one EC2 instance, so you don't want to worry about load balancing. I'm just going to create my deployment group. Successfully, we have created our deployment group for our code pipeline. So far, we have created a repository in CodeCommit. We have created a build project in CodeBuild. We have created an application in CodeDeploy. We have created a deployment group under an application created in CodeDeploy. Finally, we are going to create our own pipeline with all these steps now integrated. Clicking on these pipelines, you will be in pipelines page. Already I have done a couple of exercises. So now I'm going to similarly create my own pipeline ready. Okay, I am giving a name called AWS pipeline demo. So let the service role be a new one. Let not be the existing one. If I need, I can still use my existing service role as well. So I'm just going to allow my pipeline to create a service role newly. So it is telling me already. So what I should do, I can just simply create on this. Okay. Then second page, it allows us to add our source related details. Obviously the source should be CodeCommit, because you are going to pull all your source code from a repository where we have created under CodeCommit. Repository, let us take from repo demo, branch name, branch demo, and then there are two options here how a change can be detected. Whether code pipeline, whenever a change is pushed to your branch, it should automatically run the pipeline or it should not automatically run. So you can even just navigate between this code pipeline or CloudWatch events. So let this be now as Amazon CloudWatch itself. So let this be the output artifacts. Let it be the code pipeline default. I'm just going to my next page. Third page, this is nothing but I'm going to add my code build related details. Project name, I've already created AWS repo build. I'm going to use a single build. So you will be having two options, single or batch. I'm just going to use single. Code deploy. This is the fourth page where we are into. So application name, I'm using demo deploy. So I'm using my deployment group. And then moving on, you need to review all your pipeline settings, which we have created. Now, I'm just going to simply create my pipeline. So basically what this will do, it will run code commit first as a source, and then code build, and then followed by code deploy. So if you can able to see here in this pipeline page, first the source is getting ready and it is in progress. The moment it completes, it will just show us as succeeded. Source is done. It's moving on to the build project. What it is trying to do, it is just building our project using code deploy. So this is step number 2, automatically doing an automation work. It should take few seconds for each service to run. So once the build is completed, it should show as succeeded, and then it should move on to the next step called code deploy. You can even view the logs as well the moment it got completed. So that logs will be used for tracking or debugging purpose whenever any failures are happening, or when the service is getting interrupted, or when the stage is getting lost or something else. Always please ensure that before the code deploy runs, our EC2 instance should be up and running. If there is not running, please ensure that it is running, and please try to start your EC2 instance using this option called start instance. So now I don't want to bother about now. For this EC2 instance, it is already under running. So the second step got completed just now. So build has been completed. So first step, source have been completed, build have been completed, and the third, code deploy, is in progress. So what it should automatically do, it just deploys our application in the EC2 instance which we are seeing here. So we have our public IPv4 address ready. So the moment it gets completed successfully, yes, it is getting completed. Now I'm going to open my address. It is IPv4 address where I can just successfully we have completed our exercise. So now I have my HTML page ready. Hey Rajesh, congratulations, code pipeline is successful. So this HTML page where we are configured in our scripts in our repository. Okay, so now we have done with our exercise. We have completed our source, build, deploy, all these steps now. Okay, so with this we have come to our end of our session today. So if you really like this video, please do subscribe to my channel and keep watching my channels regularly. Thank you very much.